fellas, in Marvel Rivals, some supports heal, some boost, and some just vibe. Let's rank the supports from team carrying legends to why are you even here? Just as a general, this is looking at the average experience, someone who you may find in your game, not a top 500 player, not even a very skilled player. Obviously every character is broken, and someone who's good with someone is going to do immaculate compared to someone who is okay at them. And so if you main support or love breaking down the metas, hit that like button so YouTube knows we need more content like this. Which is why starting off we have Jeff, who is a B tier character. Why B? He can get picks, he can deal a lot of healing, and he can deal a lot of damage. He has a ultimate that, well, it can be avoided, especially if you happen to be playing from the beginning of the game. Everyone learned how to do it. He is a good counter ult to just about every support barring Luna Snow. There are some different ways to play him. You could play him like a heal bot, almost like Rocket, or you could focus more so on getting kills. Ever since his rework, however, there's less DPS focused Jeff, which does suck a bit. But if you do have a bit of game sense, you'll know that you're not supposed to be dealing a ton of damage to the enemy team if you aren't getting picks. Otherwise, you're just feeding the support ults of the enemy team, which isn't ideal. But he's not a bad character. There just happens to be not a lot of people who are great at Jeff since the rework. But he's very fun. He's very good. I think he is slept on. He does have a team up with Storm, but even that can be somewhat rather easy countered. So he's not a bad pick. He's not a great pick. I think he's just about middle of the line for what you do want as a support character. Now, someone who is a fantastic support character is Loki. He does a ton of damage, he does a ton of healing. You really do need to be paying attention to your clones, which can be a bit much, especially in long team fights. But he has runes that are like a mini Luna ult. They stop a lot of ultimates, which is very good. He has a way to self-heal by going invisible, and it's because of his massive offense and massive defense at the same time that makes him, I think, the best support character presently in Marvel Rivals. Doesn't mean he's not easily countered if you don't play him super well, like by Moon Knight, but you'll definitely feel the difference between someone who is somewhat okay at Loki and a really good Loki. Plus, he has an amazing team up with Hela and Thor, where if you get a Hela on your team and they get a kill, you come back to life or get some bonus health. And then speaking of supports who are incredibly strong, we have Adam Warlock. The reason why he is so low is primarily his healing. It really does suck. I played a lot of Adam Warlock. I'm a big fan of Adam Warlock. If you're going to get picks, that's great. If you have a triple support comp, that's great. If it's Adam and another healer, not so great. Even at the best of times, his ultimate just, it's really hit or miss. Sometimes it's good. I swear it's so good. And then sometimes it's a waste and you're holding on to it for a long time. He does have Soul Bond, which you'll see a ton of videos of if you look it up, where Adam Warlock just survives everything. But they changed it so that now you can use it every 40, I think, seconds, even if you die, which is a pain. They did give him a slight nerf where if he gets a headshot, he does get a second off of his healing. And he does have an amazing team up with Mantis and with Star-Lord, where if they happen to die, they can revive themselves once every 2 minutes, coming back to life full health at a spot of their choosing, and he has that ability himself as well. The reason why he's not up higher is that he can't work great on a 2 support team. You really do need to have that third support or someone who just gets a crap ton of headshots. But he's a very fun character, and if you happen to do a lot of quick play, for example, and you don't often have another healer, he's very good for self-healing. Speaking of Mantis, I think they're a solid A tier. Mantis, incredible damage output, 4 leaves that regenerate really fast, especially if you get a headshot, which do a little bit of burst healing and healing over time. And then you could do damage buffs as well, which I think is the true epitome of what a support character actually should be. Healing, damage, and buffs. The reason why she's not S tier top of the list, even though she got some good upgrades, is because her ultimate still kinda sucks. Actually, you know what? Let me check how long that lasts. Her ultimate lasts 8 seconds and she can be taken out of it, countered by a Jeff ult. It's really not all that good. Yeah, your team does move faster, but you're using it typically in a team fight where that doesn't make a whole lot of difference. And they can get over health if they're not being hit, but you're using it in a team fight where, again, that doesn't make a lot of difference. So I think her ultimate does suck, but I think if they made her ultimate better, she would be just too strong. I'm not sure what she needs specifically. Even if it was just to last a couple seconds longer, that would be better. But right now, it's just not a good ultimate. I think it's one of the worst support ultimates in the game at the moment. And then she does have some self-sustain where she can heal herself, she can move faster if she needs to. She can even give herself a damage buff. And her damage output is already really crazy, so with the damage buff, just insane. She can work on a 2 support team comp, although I think she does do better on 3, especially with the Adam. And then a team with Mantis, with a Hawkeye, or even a Black Widow is going to be absolutely devastating to your team. She can be very hard to play, but not hard to get a grasp of. Whereas with a lot of other supports, it's, hey, my team is right here, let me just shoot in that general direction to heal them. And the one that I think a lot of people really had a hate for, even though he was surprisingly really good, is Ultron. Ultron almost is in the same park as Adam Warlock, but he's just better at it. He does have good movement ability, which is so important to have on a team. And then he has his healing drone, which does healing over time to a radius of people rather than just one person. So yeah, you do got to keep track of who on your team actually needs it. You can't just set it and forget it. And then he has his shield, which gives bonus over shield to you and whoever has your drone and anyone in between to a certain radius. But as far as I'm aware, that overshield, which is already incredibly good, doesn't generate ult charge for the enemy team when they do damage. Plus, Ultron is so incredibly strong if you can track your shots somewhat well. And he has an amazing team up with Iron Man, who is very strong this season as well. Topped off with his ultimate, which can kill tanks. Often with team fights, people are more centered together, so you're gonna have a nice small radius to shoot your shots at to either heal or deal damage. I think a lot of people were quick to judge, thinking he was either really bad or he needs to be on a 3 support comp, but Ultron does do fine on a 2 support comp. You just have to have a rather competent other support, which at this point in the game honestly isn't too much to ask. Boop. And then someone who is better than Mantis but isn't quite into the S tier yet is Cloak and Dagger. With Cloak and Dagger, you barely have to aim, you just have to somewhat focus on your target. She has great healing output and then heals those around the person that's hit or deals damage. She has a healing wall which heals and heals over time as well. Very, very good for team fights, especially through a choke point. And then she has the healing bubble which can heal herself, or she could throw it on a general point to heal anyone within the bubble. Incredible healing output, plus her ultimate does damage in whatever 4 lines you want, and then heals up really well anyone else who's in those lines. Someone who does have some decent time in Cloak and Dagger, you'll definitely feel it, but Cloak and Dagger honestly is pretty good even with someone who just picked up the character. A big con to Cloak and Dagger is that she is a fairly common pick, so if you were trying to main her, someone else might take her because she is common, as well as a lot of the one-shot ultimate heroes will save their ultimates for the supports. So you pop your Cloak and Dagger ult, here comes Magneto, here comes Scarlet Witch, here comes Iron Man, who are going to kill you just as soon as you get out of your ultimate. Also, it's kind of a pain, but Hawkeye can also kill Cloak and Dagger while she's ulting, which isn't cool. And someone like Emma will come in and try to kick you out of your ultimate. Kind of same thing with Thor. So I wouldn't say that her ult is easily countered, just that a lot of people are going to focus on you as soon as you ult. And then a very good one for S tier, a little bit lower than Loki, is Luna Snow. Luna Snow does get banned, not as much as I thought, but still a little bit. She is a very, very strong support character. Her ultimate lasts 12 seconds and effectively stops the enemy team. And if your team does have the upper hand, she can switch her ult to deal more damage to the enemy team. Her basic healing is alright. She does have a snowflake she could put on a dive character or on someone who's getting jumped a lot to help keep them alive longer, as she doesn't have to actually focus on healing them. They get passively healed from the snowflake. You just have to actually be healing. Something that's great for chokeholds or even if you're being dived is her shift ability that shoots out icicles, which makes it easier to hit targets and heals your team in a radius over just having to focus on one person. So it's good for the healing output as well as dealing damage. Her basic attack actually is fairly strong. You can get kills on squishies if you snowball and headshots. But speaking of the snowball, that now gives you some bonus health if you hit the snowball. It's only 50, it's not a lot, and there's a cooldown on it, but at least it's better than nothing. The main shining bright thing about Luna is her ultimate, and she gets that bonus overshield that makes it just a little bit tougher to kill her out of, and heals incredibly fast. Basically, in other words, if you're playing comp, if Luna isn't banned, someone on your team should be running Luna. And then someone who I am seeing banned just a little bit more is Rocket, who's just above Ultron. Some maps that are more lane heavy than others is where Rocket really does shine because his healing orbs bounce. And with the latest change, if they bounce and hit a target again, they get more instant healing. So the new Acro map, I'm not sure what it's called. The new map this season, Rocket is really good for it because there's a lot of tight spaces. But the main way that Rocket gets played, and honestly, I think it is the best way to play him, is more as a heal bot. You're just going to be sitting in one spot and shooting your healing orbs. However, Rocket does have a way to revive people. He has a great team up with Penny, who I think has the highest win rate of the Vanguards this season. And if you are up close to someone, especially the tanks, his basic attack does melt them. I think it's a 3-meter range though, so you do have to be up close, which you shouldn't be all that much. But Rocket is very strong in that regard. And then if you are being dived or attacked, he does have easy ways to get away, and his healing orbs heal himself. Rocket's ult was changed recently, where now it does a little bit less bonus damage. I think it's only 25% now, which is not bad, especially compared to most other alts that don't give you any bonus damage. But his healing output is 100 health a second, which converts to overshield. I'm not sure how the healing works with his ultimate because it feels like it does a tiny bit of healing then just does overshield, and doesn't give a lot, but it will keep you up. And honestly, I think it's better than Mantis's. It's a very good ultimate, especially from what it once was. It has 800 health and people will focus on it a lot more. And then often in a panic team fight, you're just tossing out the ultimate, you're not placing it strategically. So I find it's a hit and miss with it. If they changed it up just a tiny bit more, I think Rocket would be up higher. But right now his ultimate is balanced, I think. And that's why he's only an A tier. Because between his ultimate and his actual damaging, he's a very heal focused character over someone that feels like a real support. And then we have Invis Woman, who honestly is a really strong character. She's better than Cloak and Dagger, her ultimate's better. She's an S tier character. Her basic attack pierces and then comes back dealing more damage, heals, damages the enemy team, and has an incredible range. She has a shield that can block some ultimates like Iron Man's or Magneto's. Plus you can throw it up on a flyer or someone off in a corner so that your team can get healed when by that corner or by the shield. She has the ability to either push or pull people, which is great for knocking people off maps, or to bring them back in case they're trying to run away and your team wants to stagger. And then she has her damaging ball, damaging orb, I'm not really sure what to call it, that you can shoot and stop on a point that you wish, unless it hits something, in which it will stop there. And while it doesn't do a whole ton of damage, it will cause the other person to hop off of wherever the ball is. Invis Woman is great for crowd control, which is something you don't see with, I don't think, any of these other characters really. Mantis has a stun, which is fine. Invis Woman has more crowd control options. And then she has her ultimate. If you're inside of the ultimate, you're basically guaranteed to live. And then the enemy team can't see inside of it. They can still try to heal and do things like that, but it's much harder for them to actually get healing in. And then the enemies that are inside of the ultimate are then slowed as well. It lasts an okay time, not super long, but it does a ton of healing. And it's great for winning fights, especially if the other team doesn't have a counter ult at the same time. And so right now, I think this is a good tier list for Season 2.5. Adam Warlock, I feel like he needs to have the triple support comp, but everyone else can be fine in a 2 support comp. Loki, I think, is the best. I do think his ultimate is not the best in the game, although the utility of it is the best. Because obviously Luna Snow, better ultimate, hands all around. Because if you're Loki and there's not a Luna Snow, or you have a Jeff the Shark on your team, for example, you don't see the other enemy's supports, or they just have like a Rocket and another Jeff the Shark. Even though Loki can copy anyone, he can't copy a Luna Snow, where if you play a Luna Snow, you get the Luna Snow ultimate. So his ultimate, I do think, is worse than hers in some ways, but better than others. It's more utility, which is why he's at the very top. And that's a wrap for this Marvel Rivals support tier list. If this tier list helped you out, drop a sub and stay tuned. I'm ranking the best DPS next. And so hit that like button if you're still watching, subscribe for more videos like this if you haven't already, and stay tuned for the next one. YouTube thinks you like this video next? Let me know if you do.